you so much to be here at our conference, the Heal Revolution Conference.
Well, thank you for having me as a guest on your program.
Thank you. We are so happy. We would like today to hear about you and your story, your biography. Yes.
You mean how everything began? You mean that I was born on a rainy Tuesday?
No, this one we will pass maybe. Like you want. You are free.
On my third birthday, I had cake and soda and ice cream. Let's think. How did this begin? Well, it's not as if I haven't told this story before, so I am familiar with it. I was practicing as a doctor of chiropractic, and somewhere in my 12th year, a few strange things happened. The lamp next to my bed turned itself on. I woke up from the light. I saw that my bedroom door, which was closed when I went to sleep, was suddenly open. I felt as if somebody was in my house, so I got up with a knife and a can of pepper spray and my Doberman Pinscher, and I went walking through the house, hunting to see if I could find whoever was there. I couldn't find anyone. I decided it must have been my imagination and something strange electrically made the lamp turn itself on, and I don't know why the bedroom door opened. And I went back to sleep. But when I went in to my office on that Monday, I would work on my chiropractic patients the same way I always had. I would adjust them and finish with them lying on their backs. I would tell them to close their eyes and relax for a minute or so. And when they opened their eyes, 7 different patients, all without knowing that anyone else had said the same thing to me, started telling me that they felt people standing in the room with us, walking around in the room with us. They felt multiple sets of hands resting in a very comforting fashion on their body. It was very reassuring. It was very nice, and yet it was very unusual, and no one had ever said that to me before. I noticed at the same time that I was feeling interesting sensations in the palms of my hands. So I started to move my hands near my patients, and when I did that, their bodies went into involuntary movements. Their fingers would move, their arms, their legs would jump, their eyes would rapidly dart back and forth, their facial muscles would pull at their lips and their eyebrows, and all sorts of interesting things were taking place. When they opened their eyes, they told me that they had seen colors they'd never seen, smelled flowers they'd never smelled, and they started reporting healings, real healings. They started getting up out of wheelchairs, some of them, vision and hearing returning. Kids who had cerebral palsy or epilepsy were suddenly able to walk, run, play, and not need medications, not have seizures any longer. Their parents were calling me, their doctors were calling me, asking what I had done. Doctors were calling me from hospitals saying that their patients who left my office and showed up for surgery got to the hospital and didn't need the surgery any longer. And I was telling everyone, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything, and don't tell anybody. And the more I said that, the more everyone started talking, and soon lots and lots and lots of people started coming in from everywhere asking for the same thing. And as I continued to quietly work with it, people started asking me to teach it. And I said, I don't think that's possible to teach. I mean, I don't know what it is that I'm doing. I'm standing there, I'm waving my hands in the air, I'm looking somewhat foolish, probably, by doing that. I said, you go outside and wave your hands in the air, tell me what your neighbors say about you. But more and more, my patients would report that when they got home from my office, they drove up in front of their house and their automatic garage door began to open and close by itself, or their lamps or their television started turning off and on and off and on. They felt feelings, sensations in their hands. They would hold their hands near someone in their family, and people in their family started having healings. So it began to become clear that somehow once we interact with what science today calls the reconnective healing frequencies, or the reconnective healing spectrum of healing frequencies, once we interact with that, it changes us It changes us to some degree inside that allows us not only to access or receive our own healings, but really, once we learn how to become truly intimately familiar with it, once we study it and learn how to work with it in a fine, gentle way, once we learn how to become the healing instead of trying to do the healings with the rituals and techniques and crystals and objects and healing toys, this allows us to facilitate healings for other people as well. And this was quite interesting to the scientists who started coming and knocking on my door. Scientists started coming and asking to study this. And I said, well, why do you want to study this? There are all those famous healing things out there, Reiki and Qigong and Jinshin and Jorei and all the others we've ever heard of. There are new ones every other week. Study big healing techniques. They said, well, reconnective healing, well, they didn't call it reconnective healing because I didn't give it a name yet at that time, but what is very different. And the reason we're interested, they said to me, was because the healings are different dramatically in at least two ways. One, they tend to be fairly immediate. They tend to be fairly instantaneous. And two, they're so comprehensive that once people receive the healings, they usually tend to last for the person's lifetime. They don't have to come back again and again and again. And this is very different from any form of energy healing technique we've ever seen before, and we want to study it. So as they began to study it, they started to tell me that we were, through reconnective healing, accessing aspects of light and nonverbal information, fields that they'd never observed, never witnessed before. And that was when I started asking them questions. Up until then, I was just listening.
Yeah, and what you're telling me, I mean, I did your workshop and I'm working with Reconnective Healing pretty much right now. And this is really crazy. This is like to be connected with something different as well. You are like lit in what you do. I just shut out my mind, and everything goes from his own, and the patient is just like happy at the end because it's crazy things happen. Crazy things happen. If he's connected, he understands. Really crazy things happen. This is my next question. I had the feeling, and I mean, a lot of people I am working with, and they are working with Reconnective Healing as well, and the patients, they're telling me, but Pauline, I had like 100 hands on me, and I was like, I don't know, I did nothing, I was just like this, and I was led from I don't know what, and I can't tell you anything, but Pauline, they did this on me, and I saw the hands, I don't know. So on your mind, something more is happening there than just energy. I don't know how you want to call it. This is something more than that. How would you explain it, or what would you tell us about it?
Well, you started to frame it, to explain it naturally, not in the beginning. But by the end of your question, you started to explain it more clearly. In the beginning of your question, you said this is very different. The scientists thought it was different too. Everyone thinks it's different in the beginning. But then you changed your word. You changed your word from different to more. Mm-hmm. See, it's not different, meaning it's not something else. It's everything we've ever been able to access through any and all energy healing techniques. Even the new techniques, even the ones that just came out yesterday and the ones that will come out tomorrow. And then it gives us more. And I said to the scientists, how can you explain that? It doesn't make sense to me. how do you know what's coming tomorrow? And they said, well, you see, the key is that we have been in the energy healing field learning energy healing techniques. And the very fact that there is a technique involved becomes a huge reducer to what we have. And I said, you really lost me. I don't get it. I mean, how do you do a healing without a technique? He said, well, don't even go there yet. We'll bring you back to it. But you see, part of what's happening is because reconnective healing is not a technique and has no technique. I said, all right, but answer me. What are you saying? And they said, well, all right, understand this. First of all, everything is energy. Your clothes are energy. Your skin is energy. The difference between your lungs and your liver and your kidney is different vibrations and resonance of energy. The difference between people, the difference between furniture, everything here has been energy. Because we have been living in only part of the universe. So I'm listening, sounds like spiritual talk for a scientist. They said, no, let's use the concept of the universe scientifically. First of all, we exist in a huge multidimensional universe. No beginnings, no ends. Exist everywhere. But we don't occupy this whole multidimensional universe. We only occupy a four-dimensional portion of it. So imagine this huge giant bubble or balloon existing in the universe, and everything inside of this bubble or balloon is humanity and everything we know here on Earth. Because everything inside the balloon is energy. Outside of this bubble or balloon is light and information on different levels, not just four-dimensional, but we've been living within four dimensions. But we don't even occupy this entire balloon. At least not in the healing world, because every time we take a technique, we focus in on that part of the energy. Reiki is over here. Different Reiki is over here. Qigong is over here. Jinshin is over here. Different techniques, different feelings, different parts of the energy of our four dimensions. We say that it's life force. We give it words that mean it's everything, but our actions contradict that, and we only get different parts. That's why we learn technique after technique after technique. It's good to learn techniques. They're like training wheels on a bicycle. They help you find your balance, but you're either here to master the bicycle with training wheels, or you're here to master the bicycle itself. And if you want to master the bicycle itself, the training wheels have to come off. You can't add more training wheels. And we've been here learning energy healing techniques, different training wheels or techniques. And now, today, we're being offered the opportunity to get the full gift of the training wheels, the full gift of the technique, which only comes when you remove the training wheels, or which only comes when you remove the technique. So reconnective healing is the first way here, finally, for us to transcend energy healing techniques, to find that we're either here to become a master of energy healing techniques or here to master healing itself. And today, we're here to master healing itself. I said, all right, but keep explaining, because I don't have all this yet. I said, well, you see, think of it as a two-part gift. Part one is only when we completely let go of techniques and rituals and healing objects, etc., do we access all of this four-dimensional existence of energy within the balloon. And only once we access all of it do we get the second part of the gift. I said, well, if we have all of it, what's the second part of the gift? They say it's because time is moving faster today. Time is moving faster, but not just point A to point B. Time is actually moving faster in all directions at once. So time is not just moving faster, time is expanding, which means our bubble or balloon of existence is expanding. Now, visualize a bubble. When a bubble or balloon blows up slowly, 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 expands, 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 it becomes more thin, more sheer, more permeable. And suddenly, everything that's been inside of that balloon or bubble, let's say it's helium gas has been inside of the balloon or bubble. Suddenly, it can get through the permeable balloon and interact with the oxygen that's outside. Well, for us, as our bubble of time expands, becomes more thin and sheer and permeable, the energy that's been inside is now able to interact for the first time with the light and information that's been outside of the balloon. So we are accessing something that is not old, even though it's existed forever. It's not old, it's timeless because it exists outside of time. But it's here for the first time, so for us it's new. Now, when someone is driven by ego, they recognize it for the first time. They don't want to think that it's new, so the ego says, yes, I remember this from my past life, or I remember this from a dream. But the truth is, it's new to humanity. It's not that some people it's old to and some it's new to. It's new here for the first time. So, okay. So we have aspects of light and information that are new here for the first time. I said, yes. Now here's what you have to understand about time. A, time is moving faster, but in all directions at once, which means B, time is expanding, and our balloon is expanding, as we talked about. So as the balloon expands and becomes more thin and more sheer, the balloon is actually disappearing. Understand, in quantum physics today, unified field quantum physics, they teach us that time is disappearing. And as it disappears, they say ultimately, what we are here and understanding in quantum physics is that time is an illusion. So time is moving faster, time is expanding, time is disappearing, time is an illusion. And that's why they believe that reconnective healings are not just the word they used in the beginning, instantaneous. They're not instantaneous because an instant is a measurement of time. They're actually, the best word we have is fairly immediate because they happen outside of time. And since they happen outside of time, they're not affected by time, and that's why they think that reconnective healing seems to last for the lifetime of a person.
Yeah, and I might remember in your workshop, we had an exercise where we were working remote with someone, right? And I was like, what's that? This thing will never work. They will never work. I couldn't understand it. And you have to live it. You have to experience it. You are here, you are working with someone. I mean, my girl was 800 kilometers away from me. And we had 1 hour delay. So she was lying and I did it 1 hour after. And anyway, it worked. It worked. And from this moment, I was like, okay, now I understand something. Now this is a crucial moment because you start to understand, okay, we are really all connected. And like you told us, there is no time, no space, nothing. Everything is together. And this point, you have to experience it because it was for me like an enlightenment, right? It was like really a great experience. I would advise anyone to do it because to hear it is something, but to live it is something different.
Isn't it amazing? The most powerful truths are the simplest. They're not the one with complicated explanations. They're not the ones that say move your hands clockwise 3 times and counterclockwise twice. They're not the ones that say bring the energy into a count of 4 and blow it out to a count of 8. They're not the ones that say shake it off to the east and spray yourself with alcohol. They're not the ones that tell you what direction to move in and how and why and what. They are the ones that are so simple that they just reveal themselves to you. Truth reveals itself. That's why for some people, reconnective healing makes them question it a little bit in the beginning because it's so easy. They're not sure, they can't figure out how they could have learned it with such elegant simplicity.
Yeah. And this is it, this is simplicity. I think maybe it would be for some people, we are here, people listening to us, they are people like you and me, and people like they want to know more about healing, and maybe you could give an advice, because quite interesting this healing. In my experience, healing is more happening if you are like shutting up, you know, you let it happen. You don't do anything, you just like do, I don't know which forces, do the stuff, and you go back. This is my experience. I don't know if it's your experience, or how could you explain that, or what is your experience, or what would you advise to people working in healing already, that it's working more and more? What, yeah.
The ego wants to do. The ego-less wants to be.
Mm.
Doing is metaphorically talking. Being instead allows us to listen, to receive, to be the witness and the witnessed, the seer and the seen, the observer and the observed. The ego wants to direct and control. The ego-less allows the perfect intelligence of the universal field, call it God, call it love, call it what you will, to orchestrate with perfection. The ego lives in fear. It protects itself in white flames and purple flames and gold flames, and shaking off energy and spraying things down and pulling up imaginary zippers and worrying about all those things. The ego-less knows that the entire experience is love and beauty, and there's nothing to protect yourself from. The ego wants to be in charge and tell it what to do and how to do it, direct it and control it. So the ego wants to direct it and control it and tell it what to do and how to do it. The ego-less allows it to exist in freedom. The ego judges. The ego-less is without judgment. The ego, because it judges, always feels inadequate. So it exists in fear. It looks for objects to add to it, to make it more, to protect it, to keep it safe. The ego-less knows that it is abundant and in perfection. We can't give a gift we're unwilling to accept or receive ourselves. We can't stand in fear, lack, and limitation, protecting ourselves and adding crystals and wands and toys and techniques and rituals and protections, and facilitate healings at their highest, because healings don't exist there in fear. Healings exist in love, prosperity, light, oneness, unity, and abundance. And healings are more than we think of. Because in doing it this way, we receive more and we facilitate more. Healings now at this level are more than just regaining the use of an arm or a hand or a leg or a liver or a kidney or vision or hearing. But at this level, reconnective healing includes all of that and takes us beyond that into what we might want to call human evolution or life progress. Our career paths accelerate so dramatically that we turn around and go, oh my God, how did I get here? And we have to really look backwards and go, oh, I see, this makes only perfect sense. Relationships, personal relationships accelerate and evolve to beautiful levels. Even, look, let's be honest, even our libido, even our sex life improves. Everything is gorgeous with this evolution because we have limited through techniques, healings to be physical with a little bit of mental, emotional, and spiritual, and we say the words and la-di-da, but now there is simply more because we are reconnecting with our ongoing expansion which requires that we do nothing, but instead we witness and observe and be.
I think only listening to you is, just calming and gives me a sense of, the truth, I think, because it feels so peaceful. Thank you.
You know, thank you too. And that really could lead us into another expansion of this conversation, because we know from quantum physics today, and we've had many teachers throughout quantum physics, all the way back from Max Planck, from you might call him the father of quantum physics, to today such wonderful current speakers on the field, such as Nassim Haramein. And we understand that everything is touching and nothing is touching. Everyone is touching, and yet no one is touching. Ultimately, everyone is special, and therefore no one is special. And yet, we are connected through a field of information, not the physical, but a field of information which can't exist without the physical in a sense here. Here. Because here, the field of information or consciousness is what brings into existence the physical. We used to think our minds allowed us to access consciousness, or that consciousness was in the mind. Let's phrase it that way. That consciousness was in the mind. The truth is, we are sort of a physical and an informational field manifestation of consciousness itself. So, look at subatomic particles. You have an atom, you have electrons, protons, neutrons. Every time you gain an insight, every time we gain an understanding, an awareness, an experience, this experience, this understanding, this insight, this awareness is taken on by one proton. And yet, that insight and understanding, that experience of the proton, once it's in one proton, it's in another, and another, and another. And every proton in your body, but not just yours, in everyone else's. And pretty much this consciousness moves throughout the planet. Trees, animals, we might not think of it the same way, but the vibration, the information is there. Ultimately, every proton in the universe therefore becomes more and expands, which means your growth, your insight, your understanding contributes to the growth and the insight and the understanding of the universe. Why are we driven? Why is curiosity such a strong force, a desire to learn, a desire to understand? Because we are designed in harmony with contributing to an ever-growing, expanding universe. So it's both our right and our responsibility. And you could call it not being religious, but understanding that there's a bigger purpose to things, if you want to use the term spiritual, our divine right and our divine responsibility. Our drives and our desires are designed to contribute. They are not selfish in the small sense of the word, meaning only for one person's self. But they are selfish because of the growth of ourselves, and the growth of ourselves is the growth and the expansion of the universe. So the universe cannot expand without your curiosity, your desire and willingness to grow. Now, if that happens from just one person, now I'm talking with two of you. So this doesn't change. You well, I guess all of us, the three of us, are sharing with an audience.
Exactly.
How many times does this multiply? You know, some people will say, sometimes I'm in an interview, and the interviewer will say to me, isn't it just wonderful you're such a healer? Now, you do healing one-on-one, don't you, also? The two of you?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
On that level, we do the same thing on that level. But I'll say to the interviewer who might not do that, I say, how many people are you touching right now? If you do programs like this all the time, then you are reaching many more people than any one healer who does just one-on-one might be able to reach in that moment. So you're a healer too.
Yeah.
Although, that's not exactly accurate, because one-on-one still reaches everyone simultaneously. So ultimately, you know where all this subject came from. You probably don't even remember or know what triggered this coming out of me right now. But you had talked about peace. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, every healing that you were involved with directly or as an interviewer or a journalist, as you're doing now, every proton that we change makes us a greater part of bringing world harmony today. We talk about peace like it's a lovely little word, but do we ever consider the ripples that healing has? We go, oh yeah, I did a healing on someone, and we write it off. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. You just brought about the next level of world harmony today.
You too. Yes, Eric, I have a question. This is quite a crazy question, but I will ask you, and if you want to answer, you can answer, and if not, that's fine as well.
Oh, listen, I deserve that right all the time. You can ask me whatever you want. Doesn't mean I'll answer.
I saw you are with Lee Carroll in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, I was.
So, yeah?
I love Lee. I think he is just a brilliant man. Brilliant man. Not just, you know, I know he likes to channel cryon, and that has lots of great information. But experience Lee as Lee. Lee Carroll as Lee Carroll is a brilliant man and an incredible teacher, always bringing new information. I really enjoy him. I'm sorry, I didn't let you ask.
It's great. I wanted to have him as well at our conference. So you're bringing him in. You're bringing his energy. It's great.
My question is, do you feel like, I mean, Lee Carroll is connected to the Pleiadian, right? Do you feel like a connection with it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he says that or not. I think he might.
Yes.
Okay, I believe it.
So I just wondered, I had this feeling all the time, and just wondering if you got that kind of connection, or if you feel something that way with your biography, with what happened to you.
Let's look at it this way. Careful. When we make discoveries, we often inadvertently, unintentionally limit ourselves. Get so excited about one thing, we don't recognize it as a limitation. Yes, in the beginning, many of my patients were losing consciousness, and many of them had voices coming through them that identified themselves as Pleiadian. I was very intrigued because I had never read or heard anything about that before, with the Pleiadian concept, as many people are. It's very natural to get excited about that. There's a bigger picture that I don't know that I had at the time because it had to evolve. Do you believe, do you understand, do you believe in the fact that we are all multidimensional?
Yes.
So we're all existing in all dimensions at once. We can see or feel some dimensions more clearly or tangibly than others, possibly, at different times. At that time, the first dimension outside of this earthly plane that I started to recognize by a name may have been Pleiadian. Now let's do a visual. Imagine, all right, we all know what a diamond looks like, right? Someone might have a nice diamond ring, and the diamond will have different little facets on it, right? Okay? Imagine a huge diamond. Buildings large, like skyscraper size diamond. Or even bigger, maybe like a planet, whatever. There's this huge diamond, and it has an infinite number of facets surrounding it, right? And you are nose up against one facet. You're looking right at that facet, and that's Earth. That's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it right here, and we feel it. It's real. But one day, we allow our mind to drift. Our eyes slightly become unfocused or defocused or refocused, and we look through that facet and all the way across that diamond, and we give it a name. It's Pleiadian. Now we're so excited. I must be Pleiadian. I see the Pleiades. It's part of the sun. What if we start to think about this Pleiades? So here I am. I'm looking at the Pleiades way across. And I start to really let my mind wander, and I think about it, my eyes drift off this way on another angle. Uh-oh, they're the Arcturians. Uh-oh, they're the Syrians. I see more facets. The truth is, we are all a part of this diamond. We are all Pleiadian, Arcturian, Syrian, French and German and Swiss and New Jerseyan, and we're from everywhere all at once, but we just focus in on one or two or three places at a time. We get so excited that we reduce our picture. But if we let go, we see that everyone is everything. The ego says, oh yes, I'm Pleiadian. We're so excited because we want to be better and more and special. And when we allow ourselves to all become part of a bigger picture, we go back to what we talked about earlier, understanding that everyone is special, and therefore no one is special, which makes, once we get it, everyone's special. So, be Carol Pleiadian as much as you and me and everyone else.
Oh, that's a great picture. I like it.
And you can actually see it in many different, just situations for, also if you're like, I think now about the people that want to be healed, or want to be a healer, that they can get a bigger sense of this subject.
It's really, we view our pictures as separate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I look at our religions as if they're windows out into understanding the bigger picture of the universe. One person looks out of one window and sees a church. And someone else looks out of another window and sees a mosque or a synagogue or a different church or a different mosque or a different temple or a shrine, all sorts of things. Different religions, different perspectives, different windows. And we argue over whose window is right until we find a better center. And we understand, yes, different windows show different pictures. They're not in conflict. They become an expansion to a larger picture. Once we're willing to look out of all the windows, we're going to see more of the picture, but we won't see the whole picture. Because each window is limited by the window frame. And the view from that window is further limited by the wall that supports the frame that supports the window. So only once we walk outside, maybe go up on the roof, join hands, have a big party, can we see the whole picture, 360 degrees in all directions. The only person who might come to that party who can't see the whole picture is the person who brings the window frame, because as soon as you add a window frame, do you make more? No, you reduce it to the window frame. And it's less again. That's what we've been doing with our techniques. Reconnective healing allows us to join the party on the roof and see the whole picture, technique free. Every time someone says, well, I can make it more, I can add a technique. As soon as we do, we reduce it to that technique. We reduce it to that perspective. Now, I was going somewhere with this. What was the original question? What were we just talking about? Because I want to bring it back.
I can't actually remember, but I was talking about healing, maybe also what is healing for you, but not clearly, but I would be interested in that.
Well, if I could think of where I was going with it, I actually had a direction for this, but let's just take it to be that true healing at its fullest level allows for a freedom and requires a freedom. In English, we have a word disease, illness or disease. And if you take the word disease and break it in half, you have dis-ease, meaning you're no longer in balance. Dis is out of it, ease or harmony or balance. To bring about ease and balance for someone else, we have to allow it for ourselves as well. And as the healer, we have to let go of the stress of doing and step into the ease of releasing. And I think that's what contributes to life progress, people experiencing reconnective healing. And life progress for one is life progress for everyone, which is back to that return to world harmony.
Do you want to? There's something private that just popped in my head because it's just funny, but I don't know if that's interesting. Maybe just an example from daily life, from your opinion, if you like. So this popped up from my head. You were saying that letting go and not doing so much, and we were discussing before. Oh, we have so much things to do in this conference. Shall we take holidays? Or shall we not? And I was like, I think we should, because it expands. It just expands, and we can keep faith that, things will roll, even if we don't know yet.
If you can allow yourself to truly relax on a holiday, and you rejuvenate and you bring more of yourself back afterwards. But if you do a half holiday or work during a holiday, then you feel guilty for the work that you're not doing during a holiday, and then you just increase stress. I half know where we were before. Remember I said I don't remember what triggered that? Half of me remembers, and you have to do the other half. The half that remembers was you said, may I ask you a personal question? I said, sure. What was the question?
So you mean from Kitsin now?
Mm-hmm.
You mean my last question?
No, you were going to ask me a personal question. Remember? What was the question?
A personal example in your daily life. You were asking.
Yes, I wanted an example from your work, like that the people can have like an idea how you work and what will expect them.
Okay. Remember that. I'm going to bring you back to it in a minute. I'm going to say, now tell me that again. So remember it. I know where I was leading to now, finally. You know, we've just completed the training program in Basel. So I guess the next nearest opportunities in your area to attend a training program, either in Germany, Austria, or Switzerland. I don't have the dates for that yet. We only have a few dates scheduled so far, but I do know that later on this year, in the beginning of December, we will have 2 more training programs. And I'll tell you what triggered me to this. And those specific 2 training programs, well, there'll really be 3. There'll be, in December, there'll be one in Mumbai, India, one in Dubai, and the first one in next year, 2017, March, I think, will be in Los Angeles, California. 3 different cultures. 3 different predominant religions in each area, and yet multiple religions that, you know, are not predominant. Different approaches. But are they approaches to different things? In other words, Reconnective Healing is not of any one religion. It is of spirituality. Religions are the man-made rules, in my perspective, as to how we access spirituality. So 3 different sets of approaches are man-made rules. But spirituality is manifestation of love. And our religions stem from love. Love in many ways that we witness every day if we just allow ourselves to pause and witness. Something causes trees to grow up. Something causes tree roots to grow down. Something has newborn babies born with 2 eyes and 1 nose. Now, I look at the 2 of you. You have 2 eyes, you have 1 nose. You're both smiling. And yet, you are clearly, distinctly not the same person. And yet, you are clearly, distinctly all part, 3 of us, all a part of one. See, I can see my picture above you in the screen. I can see you 2 there. Your eyes are a different distance apart. Your smile has a different shape. And yet, as you smile, the cheeks rise. The same thing with me. I can see the light reflecting off of all 3 of us. The continuity is a manifestation of love. The way the earth grows and recycles is a manifestation of love. When we look at each other, maybe compassion, maybe that step into love is allowing ourselves to see ourselves in each person, not just the ones that we're happy with or the ones that we enjoy in the moment. And then maybe that's us learning to experience love on every facet of Earth life. Maybe every facet of that diamond. Sometimes I just talk. So.
It's very interesting. Maybe you would like to end now with an example how you work with clients and patients, and maybe also you would like to say, what is Heal Revolution in your opinion?
Okay, why don't we blend that a little bit? So I want to tell people just a touch of what they can expect at a training program. I think that's important to understand. when we do the training programs, we usually start on a Thursday or a Friday night. We give a 3-hour presentation, talk about the history, the theory, the philosophy, the science. We bring up volunteers from the audience, as you know, and give live demonstrations of the healing. So on people who maybe have physical limitations of range of motion, or something we can see that's medically documented, so we can see the reality of the healings. And then we begin to show you how to work with it, which we'll talk about in a moment now, since you'd like to do that. After that Thursday or Friday night presentation, we have level 1 of the program and level 2 of the program. So the first 2 days after the presentation is level 1, where we demonstrate aspects of the work from the stage, and then we all go to massage tables. So one of you might stand at the head of a massage table, someone else will lie down on the massage table. We'll come around you, the teaching assistants and I will come around to you, we'll take your hands, we'll show you how to find and feel and work with and play with these frequencies. And of course, in different countries, we have simultaneous translation for their headsets, and many of our teaching assistants are native language speakers, so you can have direct, clear communication as you're learning. And as you learn to work with this, you see the people on the massage tables go into involuntary movements of the fingers and their arms and legs and their facial muscles, etc. And you trade places with them so you get to experience it. And we continue teaching and learning and talking and demonstrating and back to the tables and learning more throughout level 1, those first 2 days after the Thursday or Friday night. And then for those of you who want to learn this at a professional level, we'll teach the second 2 days. Now, learning it at a professional level doesn't require you to become a professional, but listen, if you're going to learn the skill, then you might as well learn it at its top level. And the professional level is called foundational, which I know doesn't always translate into all languages as professional, but it means professional. Those practitioners who are recognized by us as professionals are only foundational practitioners who have completed or retaken their work, I think, since 2013 or 2014. I'll have to check on it. But if you go to the directory of practitioners on the website, thereconnection.com, only those who are foundational will be listed, who are professional. And then at that training program, we bring in people from the public, so you get to facilitate your first professional reconnective healing sessions under our direction and guidance. We teach you how to build and start and develop your own reconnective healing practice if you want to. We'll teach you how to do this via distance, and holographically, in all sorts of ways. But go back to that first Thursday or Friday night. What did we begin to teach you? Well, wait, let's finish this. By the time you complete the full professional program, I can pretty much promise you 2 things. I think this is important to know, because this is hard for some people to believe, and I can only share the truth as best I know it. I can pretty much promise you that by the completion of the program, A, you will be able to do anything and everything in this expanded realm, beyond just energy healing techniques, this expanded realm of healing that I can do. And 2, you will be able to do anything and everything in this expanded realm of healing that any human being anywhere on this planet can do, because it is, as we talked about at the very beginning, both our divine right and our divine responsibility. So how can we work with it? How can I share some of this while we're on this program, in this interview? Everything is everywhere at once. So your beginning of learning depends upon your willingness to open up and look for and access something new. It is a willingness that is an allowance. Because most people in the beginning, if you are in fear, in ego, or in judgment, these are the people who say, well, I've already felt this. This feels just like what I'm used to. That's because their fear limits them to what they're familiar with. It's sort of like wanting to jump into a pool, and the water might be cold, You don't want to jump in. You want to put in one toe and then another toe and then, walk in slowly. So first you feel what you're used to. The water's not cold. So if you're willing, let go. You can begin to access more right now. My suggestion is you allow your hands to drop to your sides for a moment, and you notice the position they fall into. They'll look something, they'll be in this shape. Or hold your fingers crisp and firm, so the muscles are sort of strong. Imagine a ping pong ball in your left palm. Look at your left palm, feel the ping pong ball as if it's sort of attached there, sticking there. Now hold your right hand in that same position. Give a little flick with your left hand and send the ping pong ball into your right hand and look into your palm of your right hand until you feel that ping pong ball arrive. When you feel the ping pong ball there, flip it back until it lands in your left hand. Then flip it back and look into your right palm until it arrives. And once you've got this, change the game. Don't flick your hand. Take your eyes from your right palm and stare into your left palm. Just stare until you feel the ping pong ball arrive. It will. Once it arrives, look into your right hand until it arrives there. That's one way to begin sending the sensation back and forth. Now let's do an active interplay with it. Imagine that there's a thick rubber band attached to the inside of your left palm and the inside of your right palm. Keep your fingers crisp and firm. The more strongly you hold your fingers, the more you'll allow yourself to feel. And when you just stretch the rubber band outward, just outward, not in and out, stretch it out, feel the rubber band. What would happen with a real rubber band? The more you pull the rubber band, the more strongly you would feel the rubber band resist and pull back, right? Good, let your hands come in. On the way in, you can start to feel a cushion or resistance. Now stretch back. Now for a lot of people, stretch outward again. For a lot of people, they're saying, well, I've already felt this. I've already been in energy healing techniques. The part that you're recognizing is the part that you are familiar with. Now the part of you that is brave is willing to walk through the fear of discovering something new. Well, I'm not afraid. Well, actually, we are in fear of the unknown by our nature sometimes. So we have to step into the awe and say, what else? If something could possibly feel different, what could it be? So hold both your hands like this one more time. Keep them strong. Take your right hand and move it as if it's a wheel of a car. Just move it around in a circle. Keep your left hand still. While you're doing this with your right hand, place your attention into your left palm. Can you feel a movement of the energy in your left palm that's matching what your right hand is doing?
Yes.
Now reverse the direction your right hand is moving. And the movement in your left hand reverses itself. This is the beginning, just the beginning of how to play with this. We'll take you through more when you're at the Reconnective Healing training programs. There is more. And you know what? There is always more. The moment we say that we are an expert is the moment we stop growing.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you so very much. Listen, I know I can't be everywhere, and I can't teach this, everywhere around the world all at once. But that's part of the reason that I wrote the first book, The Reconnection. It's called The Reconnection. Just like the website is thereconnection.com. The book is The Reconnection. Heal Others, Heal Yourself. It is an international bestseller, now about to go into its 40th language.
Right.
third portion of the book is a basic how-to. It will give you the very beginnings of this. It will not make you a reconnective healing practitioner, but it will give you the beginnings of it. It's just like reading a basic book on hairstyling or dentistry. You will learn how to take better care of your own hair and teeth and your family's hair and teeth. It won't make you a hairstylist or a dentist, but isn't it nice someone?
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I understand dear Pauline. She was always talking about you and about this. Now I
Maybe they've all been lies. And she's just...
No, it's quite. I mean, I went to you because of synchronicities. You can't imagine. It was really crazy, really crazy. That's why she was like, "What is he talking about?" I was like, "Okay."
Well, I'm sure they're not lies, but I say that all the time just to watch people's face.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me on your program and for the two of you sharing your smiles with me today.
Pleasure. We love to smile.
Me too.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.